What's going on, everybody? This is Mac, and it is Friday, May the 15th, and I want to do a recap for you today. It's been a little bit since I did one. The main reason is I started having some serious issues with my computer. One thing I didn't invest in when I bought my computer was a quality video card, and being new to video editing and recording, I found that it became quite a problem with my old one. So I did upgrade that, and I think things are running a little bit better. In fact, you can look here at a picture of my old versus my new video card. Quite a difference. Apparently size does matter. At any rate, let me jump into what happened this morning. I want to get to my Microsoft trade, but before I do that, let me show you the other two trades that I took. At the open, I was watching AMD. It was looking weak in the pre-market. What I was expecting was a kind of a pop-up through VWAP and then it to kind of drop back down, and it did do that. I did not get the entry I wanted, and when I say that, I'm going to explain this more on my Microsoft trade, but I'm trying a different entry method where I don't take as large of a position initially, but then add in as it goes in my favor, and this will allow me to reduce risk. Well, when I got my starter position here, it kind of just dropped on me, and I didn't want to chase it because I thought it could bounce off of VWAP and continue on up. So I didn't get as big of a position here as I wanted, so I didn't really play it exactly the way I wanted. I did take a partial here after it dropped below VWAP. And it started to go on down, but it looked like the market was starting to pull up and too strong for AMD to make the move down at that moment that I was looking for. So I just went ahead and closed the position here. Got a small profit, not as much as I would have liked because I didn't have a full size position. I tried one more time later to take another short when I thought it looked like it was about to drop down through VWAP. I was a little premature. And it just kind of consolidated here a little bit. I didn't really like the way the SPY was looking at the moment, so I just dropped out of that position for a loss of a few bucks on that particular trade, but positive overall on AMD. Then I jumped over to JP, and back up to that trade. Let's see. Okay, this is it. So JP at the open, it was a very strong, it was opening near its all-time high. It wasn't quite there, but I expected that it would push up through it. I wasn't looking at it when it did this initial push. I was doing my AMD trade. Then when I flipped over here, it had pulled back to VWAP, was kind of consolidating here a little bit. Looked like it was going to do a little ABCD, so I took it long. But it slammed down through VWAP then and stopped me out. Small loss on that one, but it immediately dropped about 30 some cent from my stop out, but it wicked back up, and I like that. I love seeing those tails on these candles, so I took it long again, expecting it to move through VWAP. It did do that. I took a small partial at VWAP to pay for my trade, so it was a no risk trade. Got one more partial, almost got a third, but it just started reversing, looking weaker and weaker. It actually dropped back down through VWAP, so I stopped out of the rest of my trade at break even. So small winner on JP. Microsoft, this is the one that made my day, and let me back up to it here on the 1 minute chart. I don't trade Microsoft a lot. It's not a big mover. It takes a lot of capital to get a good profit out of it, so it's not the best use of capital, but it's Friday. I don't like taking a lot of risk on Friday, so it looked like a good setup. And the reason I say it looks like a good setup was on the 5 minute chart. It was not moving up. This is the 5 minute chart down here. It was not moving up with the SPY like most of the other stocks, like AMD and some of the other tech stocks were moving up, and most of them were going green. In fact, SPY come up and touched yesterday's close. But Microsoft was not doing that. And in fact, if you look here on this 5-minute chart, you actually see every time it got up, it actually got up into green once at the open. But all these 5-minute candles, they had these long wicks on the top. So that tells me that there's some selling pressure on it. So what I was looking for was the SPY to kind of roll over and do a pullback. And if that did happen, I was pretty confident that Microsoft was going to dump because of all the selling pressure. So right here, when I took it short, let me go back up here to the 1 minute. You see it through this doji, kind of a spinning top candle on the 1 minute. And this was right about the time that the SPY was at its peak, really at yesterday's close. So I took a short there, and as I mentioned on my AMD trade, I took probably what would be my normal size position, but what I did, and this is something I've been practicing, as it comes down and gets closer to VWAP here, I actually added into my position, actually doubled my position. This allowed me to take a much larger size than I typically would without increasing my downside risk, because I actually dropped my stop out to my average price. So I'm not going to lose more on this trade if it goes against me than I would have with my original position. I will actually stop out before I get to what my normal stop out would have been. So greatly reduced risk with an increased size. And this doesn't work with a scalp. It works though if you can catch a trend move. So, and it worked out great in this case. Right after I added in, it dropped down through VWAP. I got my first partial. And as first partial, I did take 25% off, which is a little bit large, but what that did is it 100% ensured that this is going to be a profitable trade, no matter what happens from this point. And I could add back in later if I want, and I did. So anyway, the trade is paid for. I've got some money in the bank, and if it comes back up against me and hits my break even, I'd be out of it. So my risk was managed on this trade. So this became a very low stress, easy flowing trade for me this morning. I got a few more partials here on the way down. It came back up, hit this 200 moving average, and just struggled with it. I wanted to do an add, but what I had set a limit order to do an add in advance at this is actually a 50 moving average. It came within 1 cent of my limit order and didn't fill it. So I kind of missed the boat on that, but I did, after it looked like it was going to break on down, I did add in here. So I'm back up to my full position and move my stop out lower. And as it continued on down, I got these partials all the way down here. I tried one more time to do an add as it come back up into these moving averages, but then the market at this point started reversing and getting strong again. And as it came back up here and it lost these moving averages here, it just looked stronger and stronger. And I had well over hit my daily target because of the increased size that I took on this trade. Being Friday, I didn't want to risk giving any more back, so I went ahead and stopped out of the trade there. And it kind of moved sideways here a little bit, and now it's starting to look weak. But honestly, if you can look here on the 2-minute chart, it's not really going anywhere. So I'm probably done for the day. Anyway, I hope someone got something out of this. If you have any comments, please put them in there. I love to hear your questions, and I love getting feedback from you. So if you have any suggestions for me how I could have managed this trade better, please let me know that. And I hope everybody has a great Friday. I look forward to having drinks with everybody after the bell today with Peter, and hopefully I'll see you there in the chat room at Bear Bull Traders. Y'all have a great weekend.